Well, hello and welcome again to the Shravasti Abbey BBC. I'm obsessed and I cannot quit thinking about this I, me, mine, usually in the not helpful way where I'm just completely stuck in it. But sometimes reading about it and thinking about it in a way that's more helpful about the kind of trap it is. And during one retreat, Venerable Tarpa gave us a very funny saying. She said, I've been thinking about this I, and I can't find it, and I can't get rid of it. That's exactly how it seems. So I'm also going to do a little commercial today and plug this book by Guy Newland, who has been here at the Abbey teaching a couple times, and will be here again in March. And this excellent book called Introduction to Emptiness is absolutely wonderful for the Western mind, in my opinion, about really unpacking this concept and making it so that we can use it and work with it and begin to understand. And so I just want to start by reading one quick paragraph out of this in his chapter, How to Be Free. And of course, he's talking about being free of this trap of the self-centered mind, this little tiny bubble that we keep spinning around and working around and living and doing everything. It's the source of our craving, and it's the source of our anger. So we really need to understand it to dismantle it. So this is called Empty as the Sky. We suffer unnecessarily because we do not know ourselves. That is so true. We really don't know ourselves. Like addicts fiercely clinging to a drug, we cannot let go of the sense that we are substantial, solid, independent, and autonomous. We lay schemes large and small to acquire and to harm, and all are grounded in this false apprehension of how we exist, who we are as living beings. Now, on behalf of this exaggerated self, with fear, anger, and pride, we harm others. And to nurture and to satisfy each passing whim of this exaggerated self, we build up our greed. So this path of greed and harm does not at all lead us toward happiness, even though it says it's going to. It is samsara. It is the cyclic path of dissatisfaction and misery. We fall into this trap over and over, and we have unwittingly built it for ourselves. So just like an addict's drug, the false notion of an independently existing self is the source of great misery for ourselves and others. So we hear this over and over, or maybe if you're new, you're just hearing it for the first time, it'll be important to hear it over and over, because we all want to get rid of this suffering and we all want to be happy. So how can we begin to even see this reality? And I've been working on a couple of questions that seem to be quite helpful for my mind to just loosen it a little bit. And I was born in October 1947. So one of the meditations I do when I start feeling really tight about I is I just say, where was the I in October 1946? I have no idea. But the I that I feel like I am feels like it's always been and always will be. So that kind of stumps it for just a nanosecond, like, I have no idea. So all over the whole earth, you could look for yourself 1 year before you were born, and that's a very good exercise to just think of the entire earth, all history, everything going forward, and that I was nowhere to be seen. Because that's really the nature of it even in this moment. But we can't quite grasp that. So kind of a step away. And then I ask, well, where will this I be in 2046? You know, it's unlikely I'll live past 100. And, you know, I don't have a clue. So there's this very short time around which we're spinning and making up stories and making them so solid and getting mad and hurt and angry and in love and out of love and stupid and bored and all of it, just spinning around this teeny tiny head of a pin. So the other thing, of course, is to use the idea of dependent arising, which is what am I made up of? What is Zopa made up of? Well, this is mind-boggling if you sit with it for a while. At one point in time, I say this, I don't believe it, my eye doesn't believe it, but at one point in time, myself and all of you were a 4-celled creature inside of a woman's womb. So grasp that for a second. And that's scientific. That's not even about Buddhism. But that was the eye. And then a little, about this big, you know, hanging upside down in some mother's womb. That was the eye. And now look at us. So there's no solidity. There's nothing to grab onto. Every single second we're changing. How did we get from that little teeny 4-celled creature, that little teeny tiny thing that was a dot of a pin, only smaller, and then this big and this big, to what we are now? But the eye is always lying. I'm really on to this eye these days. It's lying and saying, no, I've been like this all the time. I've been right here. I'm in charge. I know what's going on. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm better. I'm worse. It's got, endless stories. So just this dependent arising of, oh, wow, I was dependent. This I was dependent on these little 4 cells, you know, getting enough nourishment, being born, some doctor, a mother carrying it, all the food I've eaten, all the things I've learned. It's just vast what the I is dependent on. So then we can see, obviously, we're not autonomous. We're not separate. There isn't any kind of I in the way that we run around 24/7 conceiving of it. So this is a pretty big mind training that we're after here. So what we're going to need to do to come to understand the nature of ourselves and really get free is we have to study this, we have to hear about it, we have to think about it over and over, and then we need to meditate. So we need to get the teachings, go online to thuptenchildren.org and look at those. There's just massive books and online teachings now. So hear, think about, study, meditate, and keep going with it, because then we can really be free.